Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be making another story time video. This story takes place in 1990, between 1990 and 1992, and all the way up to last year, which was 2016. So years ago, when I was about 10-11 years old, it was my parents, my sister, and our neighborhood best friend. We had gone up to Santa Barbara, and there they have the Santa Barbara Mission, and we are from LA, and so it was like about an hour and a half, 2-hour trip. So we all go, and my dad had a camper back then, so like it was a lot of fun. It was, just my sister and my best friend. So we had a lot of fun going there, and I just remember parking like in a big dirt area. And so we went into the mission, we saw the whole mission, and at the time, being 10-11 years old, I didn't really understand what the mission was and everything, but I just remember the cemetery. And the reason why I remembered it is because there were like a bunch of graves, and I remember the smell was very musty, and I didn't like that. And I didn't like seeing graves of babies because I thought it was like so sad, and like the whole place just gave me the creeps. And then towards the end of our trip, we were there, I don't know, maybe a few hours, and then towards the end of the trip, my parents let my sister, she's older than I am, she was like about, I want to say 16, maybe 16 years old, and my best friend was maybe 14. And so we went off on our own, and there was a school near the mission. I think it was like part of the mission. It was a private school, a Catholic private school. So I remember my sister, she took my dad's video camera at the time, and we were walking, like, just being kids, being nosy. And I remember we like made this turn around a corner, and there was a painted mural of the Virgin Mary. And we were there, and it was like really quiet, and it was like kind of up on a hill from what I can remember, and there was a bunch of orange trees, and it was just so nice and peaceful. And so I think at that point my sister had the video camera off, unfortunately, but I do remember two men came around the same corner that we went around, and they're like, hey, don't go down there, don't go where the trees are. Oh, and I forgot to say, there were like steps going down to where the orange grove was. And we're like, okay, fine, we weren't planning on going there because it was spooky down there. And plus, like, the stairs got cut off because it was like really old and stuff. And so we're like, okay, and then we were kind of like, why? And they're like, oh, because there's a lot of poison oak or poison ivy. And we're like, okay. So they turn around, they leave, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds, a minute later, we heard this like really scary sound. I don't know how to describe it. To me, it did not sound human. And like now as an adult, the only thing I could like compare it to is like, it sounded maybe like a groan or something, or a moan. And like we thought maybe it was the guys playing a trick on us, but either way we were like so scared, and we ran out of there like so quickly. And I remember I was so scared the whole day, and we told my parents what had happened, and I think they were like, oh, whatever, it's probably the guys playing a trick on you. But I remember being really upset. I don't remember my sister and my friend being that upset, but I think because I was the youngest and like a scaredy cat, I was crying. And then so we ended up going to the beach, and we had a picnic and everything, and I just remember the smell. I could not get rid of the smell, like the mustiness smell. And so like at the beach, I remember that day I got pulled under the waves, and I thought I was gonna drown because like I swallowed a lot of water, and I was near my sister, and I think I was holding on to her leg or something in the water. And then I remember thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna drown. And I just remember opening my eyes and seeing everything dark, and like I could see the sunlight. And so my sister ended up pulling me out of the water, and like I didn't go in the water after that. And I just remember crying and crying. And then I remember telling my mom that I think they were like, whatever was at the mission was trying to kill me. Like I honestly thought something bad, like a ghost or something, was like out to get me. And so like I hated the whole experience. I hated the trip and everything. So then fast forward to, I want to say 1996, 97. I was a teenager, maybe 15, 16 years old. And I ended up going back to the Santa Barbara mission with both my parents, my mom and my dad. And we went there for the day, and I, in the back of my head, I still had the memories, but I was like, okay, whatever, maybe, it was our imagination or whatever. Even though we all three of us heard that sound. So anyways, we go back, and I remember, just looking around, I was able to appreciate the mission much more at that age. And then I was standing by one of the windows, the mission windows, and I remember I heard like a tapping sound, like tapping on glass. And to me, it sounded like a fingernail tapping. And I remember I turned to look at the window, and it was like coming right, like the tapping sound was like right there, right next to me. But the thing was, I was standing outside, and the window was boarded up from the inside. So I didn't understand that, and I told my dad, he was around because I think we were waiting for my mom. And I'm like, Dad, do you hear that? And he didn't hear anything, and I was like, oh my God, like, I was the only one that heard the tapping, and it just happened a few times, and I was like, okay, whatever, So I ignored it, and that was it. And then fast forward to last year, 2016, about exactly a year ago almost, I went back to Santa Barbara for a vacation with my best friend, her sister, and my daughter. And so while we were there, everything was fine, and we come across the cemetery, and I was like kind of like a little bit nervous about it because, every time like I have gone there, something kind of weird has happened. I don't know if it's paranormal or not, who knows. But it was really strange because when we turned the corner of this into the cemetery, I saw like so many, I don't know how to say, I guess apparitions or people, but they weren't like people like the way you see us, like ourselves. They were like see-through, and like the strongest points of their bodies I could see were their outlines, and it was kind of like a picture, and they were all like standing. There was probably like 20 or 30 people, and it looked like they were staring like right at us, like facing our way. And it just happened like for a flash, like this, and then poof, gone. I thought that was so strange, but I'm like, oh wow, So then I'm like, okay, keep on walking. So we were walking and everything, and then I didn't want my friends to hear, but I told my daughter, I'm like, I feel like someone's here with us. I feel like they're watching us. And she's like, who? I'm like, just people. So, we take a stroll in the cemetery. It's like a circle. And then later on, my best friend's sister, she tells us that she felt like a hand grab her ankle. But I don't think it was hard, but she just felt something like touch her. And it kind of freaked her out. And I had a picture, like when she was telling us that story, I had a picture of my head of a man with a hat, like, I don't know, he was wearing all black, like old clothing, and he looked Hispanic. And then I remember his stitching, his black clothing, it had yellow thread. I have no idea why I thought of that, but I just did. And so, yeah, that's about it. And I just wanted to share that story since it's October and it's spooky and everything. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my little spooky stories. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.